everybody, and welcome to Lattes on My Mind.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Felina. What are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about Roanoke Island and the disappearance that happened there. So grab your lattes and join us for the journey. Right before this, Felina, we just accidentally made up a song and sang it exactly the same way.
We harmonized.
We did.
It was wild.
And it was, do not disturb. It was like something like
that.
Yeah,
it was like, I got to put my phone on. And then we both went, do not disturb.
And we've never done that before, I don't think.
Never, ever. Have we ever?
So apparently we've been spending too much time together, but we really can't help it.
We do see each other 6 out of 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
It was bound to happen.
It was bound to happen where our minds melded. What was
just clicked.
We always have said that we kind of just make one whole person.
Yeah.
Because our brain cells together just equal one person.
Yeah.
I think.
You have your strengths, I have my strengths, and together we make one whole human.
One solid person.
Yep. We sure do.
Anyways, do you have any updates for us from...
I sure do have an update for you guys.
Ooh.
We are getting a puppy and we're getting a girl. There was 2 girls and 3 boys in the litter. So my aunt is keeping a girl. I'm getting a girl. My other aunt, the father is also one of someone, I can't remember. She's getting a dog for somebody else. And then, the other 2 are also spoken for.
Every time you show me a picture, I just think her little paws are so cute. Like with
They're
their little
just so
claws.
little.
They're so little.
They're so teeny tiny. You guys, this puppy is adorable.
She's so small.
She's so small, and yet she's the biggest one of the litter.
I know.
She's already a pound.
Oh,
She's
so
not. She's a week old today.
Aw.
I know. She was born on our anniversary, so that was fun.
Oh, because last week we didn't record on Saturday. I was like, wait, I don't remember recording when she was being born.
That's because we didn't.
We had to record
because it was
on a
my
different
anniversary.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Put up with your husband for... No, just kidding.
A whole 2 years.
Mine's coming up in October, so we'll see if I can... No, just kidding. I will put up with him.
We'll see if he makes it till then.
Well, I don't know why we always make such horrible jokes about Wes on the podcast.
Well, I think it's because Wes has a dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
And so we know he can handle it.
And
also he doesn't listen to it.
Right.
So we got to make fun of him so that he can actually hear it.
Well, the thing is he doesn't listen to it. So I'm like, but I think he finds comfort in knowing that we mention him. I think it like...
He's like, yeah, they mention me. They love me too much.
Right.
He was texting us. We have a group chat and he was texting us last night and he was like, Waffle House? And I was like, nah, man, we're in bed.
Nah, it was late.
And he was like, well... There have been a couple of drinks flying between the husbands. And he was like, well, me and Marshall just need to go to Waffle House together then. We were like, perfect. That sounds like a great plan.
Y'all just go on down there. It's fine.
You too.
I was ready to go to bed.
We were literally in bed.
Yeah.
And Marshall was like, well, guess I got to go to Waffle House. And I was like, okay, we'll see if that happens. And then he didn't.
Good times. Speaking of Waffle House, which has nothing to do with anything, but you've heard of the English, right? I'm seeing how good I can become at segues.
That was a bad one. That was not good. It was not good.
It's
okay.
I'm bad at segues. I never know where to go from puppy talk and waffle talk to talking about the Roanoke Colony. Yeah.
You know what they didn't have?
Waffles.
You know who didn't have Waffle House?
Who?
The Roanoke Colony.
Boom. You brought me right to our topic today. Thank you for doing that.
I sure did.
You don't think people in the Roanoke Colony were like, Waffle House? In the middle of
Waffle
the night?
House at 2 a.m.?
But you've heard of the English, right?
The English?
The English people.
Like from England?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. You know how they like to divide and conquer, right?
Like our descendants?
Our descendants or our ancestors?
Yeah, it would be ancestors.
I said that last week. I was like,
correct.
Descendants. And then I was like, wait, that's the wrong thing.
We're their descendants, so they're our ancestors.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So the English people. I mean, I say this jokingly, but they like to divide and conquer, right? About exploration and adventure.
Yeah.
And, all respect to the English people, but they like to back in the day, they like to explore and, kind of, take over a little bit of
Take over
few
some other
lands. Yeah.
people's areas.
I've been to England, so I loved it. So it's not.
I've been to England, so I can
okay.
trash talk it.
No. I've been to England is what I mean to say. It is a lovely place. So I'm not. Historically though, they
don't
conquered
have
a
the
lot.
best rap sheet.
No.
Yeah.
But they have been around for a very long time.
They have.
But so I'm going to give you a little background, as I always do first before we go to Roanoke Colony, because
we need the background. We need the background.
Scene.
Yeah.
We're going to set the scene. The ocean waves. Those are the ocean waves.
You guys can only hear her. You cannot see her hand motions.
Did you like that?
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
I felt like I just got to close my eyes and I'm there.
You're there.
I'm
You're
on the ocean.
Throwing a little
on the beach.
Caw, caw, seagulls. Caw. So England, they were kind of wanting to get into the game of conquering the New World, aka Americas. Mm-hmm. So this guy, perhaps you've heard of him. His name is Sir Walter Raleigh. Yeah, that's his name. He just
Raleigh with an R?
Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah, Raleigh.
For a second, I thought you said Sir Walter Wally, and
Wally.
I said, "Excuse me,
Walter Wally." So he had already gone to the Americas. He had explored around Chesapeake Bay and was on quite friendly terms with dear Queen Elizabeth I. And when I say quite friendly terms, I think there may have been some
hanky panky."
I think they
were having some extracurriculars.
Now that could have just been, I read that and I kind of was like, ooh, but
Spicy.
I didn't really
razzle dazzle.
Yeah, but quite. He was like her trophy guy, I guess. She had given him permission to go kind of colonize and explore and things like that.
Now, is this the one? Is Elizabeth the first? Is she the one who is like cousins with like Mary, Queen of Scots?
I think so. I get my queens confused because there's so many.
There's
Elizabeths.
so many Queen Elizabeths.
She may have been. This is like the 1500s. So probably Mary. We should do one on Queen Mary. Bloody Mary.
Is that who that is?
One of the Marys. Someone who knows English history is just shaking their head at us right now.
Like, oh my gosh, these idiots. Is Bloody Mary Mary Queen of Scots?
Yeah.
What?
I'm pretty positive. Is she not? No, maybe not Mary Queen of Scots. Maybe Mary. Shoot, I might have just got this wrong. Bloody Mary.
We're not historians.
I'm pretty sure.
Let's.
I have done English history before, obviously, and I was good at it at the time when you have to memorize them, but then once you don't, you kind of just. They were all there.
You kind of. It's like if you're not using it, you lose it.
Yeah.
This says Mary the First
was Bloody Mary,
also known as Mary Tudor, and as Bloody Mary by her Protestant opponents, was Queen of England and Ireland.
So she's not the same?
Based off of what?
No,
Mary Queen of Scots was known as Bloody Mary.
Oh, okay. Whew. So
she's Elizabeth I half sister.
Wow. Okay. All right. There you guys go. We
Wow.
were okay.
All right.
We were tracking a little.
We were.
We remembered some of those bloody queens.
The only reason I remember those people is because of that one show that now I'm forgetting. Shoot. Rain.
Out. Oh, Rain.
Like rain. Like not like rain from the sky, but like they rained over.
Right.
Like rulers, you know.
You were like there was an evil one somewhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So I guess around the same time then.
Yeah. Because they were half sisters.
That's crazy.
Wild.
Okay.
Anyways.
So Queen Elizabeth I.
Some hanky panky.
Yeah. She and Sir Walter Raleigh, I guess, like she kind of was like, he was her trophy child, not child, but like her, this was the guy that
her
was
trophy.
Commander.
What's
sort of
the mistress? What's the boy form of mistress?
Oh shoot. Is there a term?
I don't know.
I
truly don't know. Well, because would it be mistress?
A fair E, Mister. It would be Mister.
It's just her Mister.
Her Mister. I do not know the term. We're already getting distracted.
We are.
Well, this is my first point.
There is no male equivalent.
Just the females are blamed.
Wow. Stupid.
Okay, so he
Dumb.
was, I think, like her. She essentially, he had a title, but essentially he was like meant to go explore for her.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
conquer, explore these lands, whatever. So he
Give
went,
me more land.
Right, give me more land. And this was because they were in competition with Spain. Spain and England were at war, and they were also exploring the new land. So it was kind of like a race to see
who could discover
right
the most,
who could colonize it, etc.
Yeah.
And there had already been obviously explorations in America, but they were like trying to like settle there. So his first trip was in 1584. Okay, Sir Walter Raleigh. His reasons were for obviously finding valuable goods and resources, and for establishing the new world for England, especially England, his country. And Spain at the time, I believe, was Catholic, and England was like Protestant.
Yes.
So they also went there for wealth, but for religious influence as well, because they went to
Right, because you want to make
spread
more
their
people who believe the same thing you do. You
Right.
know, like you don't want
evangelize essentially.
yeah. pretty much.
So they were totally like gunning for this country at the same time, if that made sense. So Sir Walter Raleigh went the first time, explored, found what we call Roanoke Island, which is in present day North Carolina. But at the time, he named the island Virginia. So it's kind of confusing because it's in present day North Carolina, but he named the island Virginia, and then they later named it Roanoke Island. And I don't, the guy who goes later names it Roanoke, I believe, for some reason. I don't know if it was after. I think there's a Roanoke probably in England or something. You know, they
Probably.
were renaming everything.
Yeah. They just gotta.
Right.
It's the American version.
Right. Because Virginia, Sir Walter Raleigh named it Virginia after the Virgin Queen, Queen Elizabeth I.
Even though they were having some extracurricular on the side.
Even though I don't know about that virgin title, if you know what I mean. But so he went, they explored, and then another guy named Ralph Lane went a second time. Ralph Lane, not Ralph. What were you going to say?
You said it quickly. So I was like, Ralph what?
I always talk too fast. I need
Ralph
to slow down.
Wayne?
Ralph Lane. Ralph Lane and Sir Walter Raleigh. Okay. Raleigh. Why did I say Raleigh?
Because he's rallying the troops.
He's rallying the troops. So he went on a second expedition, Ralph Lane, and he stayed behind while this other guy, Richard Greenville, went back for more supplies. So they're still trying to like settle in this Roanoke Island. So they even build like little houses and stuff. But the English people, get this, were at first peaceful with the native tribe there. They were called, I'm sorry if I say this wrong, I say this every time, Algonquians. The Algonquians.
The Algae Queens.
The Algae Queens. I'm trying to say it right, but every time I overthink it. They were at first peaceful with the Algonquinians, but then the English settlers became selfish over the food supply, imagine. And so their diseases and their fight for food kind of began causing issues for the native peoples there, obviously. So they sort of were not having a good time. So due to issues, this guy Lane sailed back to England. Okay. So this was attempt number 1, unsuccessful. Attempt number 2, unsuccessful. But they did like build some buildings there.
They had some like rapport a little bit.
They did at first, and then they, started using the resources there. And
then they were like, nah, dude. Nah, fam, you gotta go.
You need to go back. And apparently this guy sailed back to England. So the third attempt is the one we're going to focus on. Sorry if that was fast. This guy named John White. He was
Mr. White.
Mr. White. John White, the most basic name.
Have you seen Breaking Bad?
No.
Okay, well,
isn't that
for
bad?
those of you who have, you'll know what I mean.
John White.
Mr. White.
So
Give me your money. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. He went with about 115 to 118 colonists.
That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people, and this is the first time that they include women and children and stuff like that.
Now, was this was that the number of people who like originally sailed, or was that the people who like made it there? Because didn't like some of them die? Surely?
I'm sure some of them died along the way, but this is like the amount that sailed over there. Okay. But I'm sure there were some that died on the way. I didn't read any of that, but surely.
I mean, it's bound to happen
with the Pilgrims and stuff. I think that happened like all the time.
Yeah,
too.
it was like ridiculous.
The other settlers who came later and stuff. Yeah. I had varying sources for how many there were, but there were about 115 to like 120 or 18 or something like that.
Gotcha.
apparently they agreed to come because like they wanted to share their Puritan faith. So they're kind of missionaries, like the people that first came here. The people who were in charge, of course, are going to conquer.
They have another agenda. Yeah.
But they arrive in July of 1587. So we're talking a while ago.
A little bit.
And Sir Walter Raleigh was the one who financed the trip. So he's the guy who's like sending them, but John White becomes the governor here. So two different. Raleigh's kind of like out of the picture now, but he's the one who kind of made it possible, gave them the funds to go.
Raleigh has delegated at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
He's been like, okay, now you guys go. You settle Roanoke Island, which is what I believe John White renamed it after, because it was Virginia.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's in North Carolina. It's confusing. So 3 ships sail there. Okay. They're wanting to establish the first permanent, like first everlasting established England colony in the New World.
Gotcha.
Okay. Which means they're going to stay there. It wasn't just a camp. It wasn't just, we're going to explore. We're going to stay here.
It wasn't like we're going to start here and then we're going to move. It was like we're settling here.
We're going to build on this place.
Yeah.
And John White, actually his daughter came over with him, her and her husband, and she was pregnant during the trip. So yeah, she is the first one to have a kid like in the New World.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so they name her, the mom's name is Eleanor. They name her Virginia, the kid. Virginia Dare.
Cool. Yeah.
So she was, of course, named after the Virgin Queen. I know. It's funny. So they named her Virginia, but like they were only there a month. Okay.
Okay.
And they're like, well, shoot, we didn't bring enough supplies.
What? What?
Yeah. Even though this was the reason why they had to keep going back in the first place, was because they ran out of supplies. They started, taking all the resources from the native people there. So again, they have made the mistake. They've come here to the New World with not enough supplies.
I'm confused. Did they just think like
they were going to find?
They were like, I'm confused.
Well, they had 3 ships, so I'm sure like it was limited supplies, but I just don't understand how. I don't know if they just didn't realize how long. I guess if you're going over on sea in that time, it could have taken them longer and they used more resources than they expected.
But even still, that's like you wouldn't use that much more resources. Like they still would have run out pretty quickly.
You would think.
Like were they not trying to plant seeds and like garden and stuff like that?
They probably didn't know what could grow in the soil there. But I mean, I don't know if it's that much different from where in England they would have been.
I feel like it's not.
But like, I mean, they didn't even know.
Yeah.
I guess they could have been trying to grow, but like think how long it takes to grow crops. If they were already out, then they would have been dead, but you think they'd be trying to hunt and stuff. But it's also on an island, so maybe they have like limited resources on the island as well.
Maybe.
But
it just feels like very quick to run out of supplies.
Yeah, it does. It's only a month. So guess who has to go back to England? John White.
Okay.
Because, so his granddaughter's born and like a week later he leaves.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, bye, Virginia. Bye, Eleanor. Bye, husband, Ananias. That's random, but his name was Ananias. That's fun. Mm-hmm. So when he returned to England.
To be clear, Ananias is Eleanor's husband.
Ananias,
it's John
Eleanor,
White's son-in-law.
Yes, his son-in-law. So Ananias, Eleanor, and little Virginia. He leaves them there. Mm-hmm. Boop. You guys can stay. But the thing is, it takes him, I think it said like 2.5 months to sail back to England. Okay.
Just to sail back.
Mm-hmm. And he gets there. I think they said it's November. He loads up the ships. I think he's going to take 5 this time. 5 ships, which I mean, okay. That sounds like a little bit more supplies. And probably, not taking,
people.
Whatever it takes to like command the ships, but not.
Right. But like not like settlers.
Yeah. Not like, hey, we've been successful. Come on, guys. Let's take more. No, he's going back just to get supplies. But England and Spain are at it again. They are at war. So Queen Elizabeth puts a freeze on sailing out because the Spanish Armada is coming in. So she's like, no one can go out. And so even though, this colonization is supposedly important, war is more important. It's taking up more of our time. So she puts a freeze on everyone sailing out.
Pause. So, okay. They ran out of supplies in a month, or they were running low on supplies in a month?
They were running low. So they're like, we're going to have to send someone back.
Now, so that they can come back and bring more supplies by the time you run out.
Yeah, it takes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Because if you think about it, it took them 2.5 months to get back to England, so they're expecting like maybe.
So they had enough supplies,
like a 6 month or something supply, because if it took them 2.5 to get there, and then that much back.
Yeah.
So they have enough right now, but they're like, this isn't gonna last.
Right.
Essentially.
Right. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I was like,
forgot
wait.
that it took that long to sail, so I was like, yeah, they just ran out.
I was like, they're already dead.
They're gone. So he sails back, can't go out because the Spanish Armada doesn't leave until 3 years later, 1590, and then he still decides, okay, I guess he has to. His kid is there. Sails back. That's when he can finally go. 1590. So 3 years.
And I'm sure they were like curious too, of like, oh, how's it going? You know, like
Right.
It must be
Go
booming
back there.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So he finally sails back, and when
3 years.
3 years.
That's ridiculous.
3 years. Like almost to the, well, not to the day, but like August. He gets back in August 1590. So like almost 3 years exactly. They're known as the Lost Colony because guess what? When John White shows back up,
they disappeared.
All gone. The funny thing is, though, it's like they're not even houses. It's like, and it's only 3 years. So it's not like, unless they were like burned, but there's not signs of like burns. It's like they took down the houses. Like it was apparently looked like it had been taken apart. Like maybe moved. Aliens. You stop. Listen, girl. We're going to get to that.
Oh, boy.
Not in detail, but
yeah,
you already gave it away, but it's okay.
Aliens.
Aliens, guys. If you listen to our last episode, Aliens, then...
Aliens have been around at least that long.
Yeah. I mean,
Probably
who was the other
longer.
guy? Michelangelo? Who was it? Which artist did they have communication?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci. Okay. Wrong artist. So he comes back. Obviously, there is nothing there except the one clue. The one little thing left for John White was Croatoan on the post of the fort. The word Croatoan, and then another in a tree, crow, just CRO, crow. So
What are they just?
Yeah, they're like, I'm lazy.
We'll just abbreviate that one.
My hand's getting a cramp. Let's just put crow here on this tree, which I thought was funny because I was like, wouldn't there be more room on a tree than a post? But I guess the posts were like really big because it was like a palisade. Like palisade? Is that how you say that?
I'm sorry, what?
A palisade, like a protection around the fort, like a big fence.
Yeah.
It's like a big log. So I guess the
So the fence was there?
Well, yeah, I guess there was like part of the post fence that went around it was still there.
Okay, because I was going to say, oh, maybe he just went to the wrong spot.
Right. No, like it was the spot. Like
Yeah.
there was still stuff there, but it was like all the people were gone. There were no signs of like bones or dead bodies, nothing like that. And there was like the houses didn't look like burned down or destroyed. They looked
looked like they were just
taken.
literally taken down.
Yeah. Which, if you think about it, it would make sense. Like if they did move, like if they just decided to go somewhere else, like they would have had to take that supplies because like it would take a long time for them probably to get that from the land if they were on the island.
It's already right here. Might as well just take it down and bring it with us.
Yeah. So he sees the word crow and Croatoan. And so he believed there was this island called Croatoan. Yeah, there was this island not far. I think it was like 50 miles. Okay, it's like 50 miles south of Roanoke. This island called Croatoan. And it was also the name of a tribe that lived there, the Native American tribe Croatoans.
Okay. So, like, probably thinking, oh, they took pity on them. They moved there.
Yeah, to the island. So that's what White thought.
Right.
So he left to go try to go to Croatoan, which was only 50 miles away, which Croatoan is now actually Hatteras Island. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's in North Carolina. So he went there, but his ship was apparently like pretty damaged and in like disarray, and there were like storms, so he couldn't get there. So he gave up and went back to England, which I'm like, if you can't sail to the island, I'm like, why can't you say?
I'm sorry, what?
Sail back to England. Yeah. So he thought they went there, but he couldn't make it because his ship was so badly damaged. So he's like, I'm just going to go back to England.
He had 5 ships.
Maybe the ones who, I don't know. They never told me anything about that.
He had 5 ships.
No. It was, maybe he was the only one who wanted to go.
Who wanted to go
back
happened. After 3 years. Yeah.
So maybe he.
Even still, I mean, like, why sail all the way back? Why not wait for the storms to pass?
Right. I don't know. Maybe that's just a really hard place to sail or something. I don't know. But like, I guess maybe, because the ships came with him to Roanoke. So I wonder if they were like, nah, man, we're not exploring anymore. And they went back. And so he had like one ship or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm sure there's like an explanation of that out there, but it wasn't in any of the accounts I read. So he was just like, my ship's really badly damaged. Storms. leaving. Guess he loves his daughter. Like, but then again, it's been 3 years. And like,
Right.
it's not the same as like, you can't just pick up a phone, you know what I mean? And be like, hey, bro,
Right.
where'd you go? Like,
Well, but even because you can't pick up a phone, I would even try harder to get to Croatoan.
yeah. You would think, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's what he believed. They had writings from him that was saying he thought that's where they went. But like, since he wasn't there for the disappearance, like no one actually knows, okay, but how did they disappear or why did they disappear? So that's why it's still considered to be such a great mystery, because no one really knows. And we're going to get to the theories in a second. But
like, my thing is, did he leave thinking, okay, I can't get there, my ship is damaged, I'm going to come back with another ship? Or was he just like giving up on it all?
It never said that he like tried to come back.
Because theoretically, if they left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his job was to
Go
and like colonize it, would he not want to come back with more people?
Right. Well, maybe the queen pulled funds until later. I don't know. Because
Maybe.
it could have been like...
Because of the war?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even still, like,
Yeah, I don't get it.
And I get that it wasn't like just his daughter alone. Like, it was his daughter with her husband. So she had someone there with her to take care of. But like, not knowing for the rest of your life when you're right there, just wait for the storms to pass.
Right.
Swim it. I don't care. Yeah, like,
well, maybe it got damaged in the storm. So then he was like, just gotta go back and rebuild. And then maybe I don't know. It never said anything else about him afterward. I was like, what happened to this man? Maybe he died and like couldn't go back.
Maybe he died at sea.
Maybe. Yeah. I feel like I should have read that somewhere though. But yeah, he just gave up, I guess, but I guess if you think about it, there had already been like 2 other failed attempts at this, like colonizing this place. So maybe he was just like angry and was like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, but he wasn't a part of the 2.
No, he wasn't. But why would you take your pregnant daughter in the first place on a ship?
Probably because he wanted,
I guess
a baby to be born there.
Yeah.
Give people like
Hope.
high hope.
Yeah, like she's been born in the New World. And
yeah.
She's the first English baby in the New World.
Yeah.
So there are theories, obviously, about what happened to them.
Right.
So that's that's the background. That's the history. There's so much more. But the first piece of little evidence I'm going to share with you is kind of like the more supposedly historical possible explanation.
It's the more widely believed one.
Yes.
Okay.
Sort of. But also,
historically speaking, yeah.
So there are these things called the Dare Stones. D-A-R-E.
Okay.
Dare Stones.
Like drug and alcohol.
Yes. Well, because her name was Eleanor Dare.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I just totally peeked. But
No, it's okay.
Sorry not to blow out your ears, y'all. But
sorry about that. Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter, named after her, because you'll see why in a second. But Dare Stones, these were found in 1937. So during the Great Depression.
A long time after.
Yes, like 400 almost years later.
Okay.
They were found about 60 miles from Roanoke.
Roanoke, like the
island, the first Roanoke.
Okay.
They were found by a supposed man named, I think his name was Lewis Hammond or something. He found this stone in, I think it was in North Carolina somewhere. But it had like old English writing on it. So he didn't really know like what it said. It was like etched into the stone. It's like, it looks like a kind of big stone. It's like this big.
Okay.
But he didn't know what it said. So he took it to Emory University, where there was this man there called Dr. Haywood Pierce. Haywood, that's a fun name.
Just for reference, when she said it was this big, it's like a football and a half.
Yeah.
About what she...
And then like wider, I guess. Like, from the picture, I actually don't know. I guess I didn't see it in like someone's hands.
But that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. This guy, he can't read them. So he takes them to this guy at the university who's like a history scholar, professor.
The professionals.
Right, the professional. And he is like, hey, look at this thing. And so this guy is like super excited because apparently it's signed EDW.
Oh. Eleanor Dare White.
Or maybe it was EWD. Sorry,
Eleanor
I
White
got it.
Dare,
Yeah, I got it confused. But it was supposedly from her, and it said, my daughter Virginia and husband passed away in 1591. So I know, like, they'd only been there, what is it, like 4 years?
You set a date and it just went right past.
I know. That's why I always have to recheck my dates.
I know it's like 1500s.
Yeah, exactly. So she says, my daughter and husband passed away here in 1591. And whoever finds this, if you can please give this to my father, John White, governor, of Roanoke Island or
like,
whatever.
Hey, Dad, I'm all alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it says that on the front, and then they flipped over the stone, and it's like, it kind of like lays out details of like what happened to them. Like, we were starving and we got sick, and like the Native Americans, some of the tribes like attacked us supposedly. And then she's like, there's only 7 of us now. Yeah. And then she's like, all the dead people, I've written their names on a second stone or grave marker, blah, 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 blah. Like, tried to tell where it was or whatever.
Tried to give like a...
So they're like, oh my gosh, like, this is like an explanation of like what happened
What
with
happened
them
to the lost colony. Yeah.
So Haywood Pierce is like super excited because like he's a history professor. So, that's...
Right.
You're like ecstatic.
That's like gold.
Yeah. But so he says, I'm going to find the second stone.
Okay.
So he sends out are you going to say something? It looks like you're... Okay. Oh, you're just that excited? No, just kidding. He sends out this like, however they tell people like, hey, we're doing this search for these stones. Whoever finds it, I'll give them like a $500 reward. And this is during the Great Depression. Oh. So it's like, I think they said it was like
everybody's
10,000.
going.
Yeah. Like now it would be like $10,000 or something like that.
Watch this turn out. This turns out to be a hoax, doesn't it?
No spoiler alerts, Felina.
Okay,
no
all right.
Alerts.
So it's a hoax.
So he's super excited. He buys the first stone and then, is like, everyone, I need you to find the second stone because this will prove that this is real.
This
know what
is
I mean?
what happened.
This is what happened.
We'll be able to find him.
So this man from Georgia finds a stone, supposedly, in South Carolina in 1939. So I think this is like 2 years later.
Wait, I'm sorry. Roanoke Island
is in North Carolina.
Yeah. So how did this second stone happen to end up in South?
Well, because it's supposedly when they find the second stone, it explains that they traveled down to Georgia. So it's like,
oh, they traveled.
They would be traveling.
Like
inland,
they were trying to find more people.
Yeah. So that's how supposedly it got in South Carolina.
Okay.
So of course the stone he finds, it has all the names that she said were going to be on them that, passed away.
Yeah.
So it has all the people listed who died, which must be... I saw the other stones that
must be a pretty big stone.
Yeah, they're like super long. It's like one guy had it like standing up and they were like looking at it and I was like this. Like it was like a long, thin stone.
That's a big stone.
And well, there were 47 of them afterward that have been found of these stones. Okay, 47. I know.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. So, and they go on to like really detailed, like, oh, Eleanor went here and she married this Native American chief and they had a daughter. And like, it's very much like very like story heavy. It seems like for like you trying to leave like clues around for your father or whoever to find them.
Well, maybe it was like a diary of sorts.
Yeah,
almost.
That's true. But she didn't have any like paper or anything. So she
just sketched it on a rock.
Right. So he finds these crazy amount of stones over the whole next year. And he says, they made it to Georgia. And so Pierce is super excited, the, scholar guy.
Yeah.
And he has a group of experts come and look at them. And they're all like, hey, yeah, we think these are reliable. So he's like, oh, cool. Like, this is so awesome. So he submits his results to the Saturday Evening Post, which I believe is a newspaper.
Yeah.
And so he's waiting for them to write this article.
Right.
So they write the article and it comes out and they're like, yeah, this is a hoax. We have had it fact checked by whoever and we have found these to be a hoax. So like all the ones that they were found after.
All the ones that like the other professionals were like, these are credible.
Yeah. Like he had like people come in like
so
the
that
historians.
Makes you wonder like, were they his friends?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, man. Or was it like.
Right.
The other people were like, man, I'm just skeptical.
Right. But the first one, the original one, hasn't been disproven. So they think that like, this maybe like the first one could have been her. But like all the other ones afterward, you can tell it's like they were chiseled. And like, I think it was like the guy who found them. You're offering this money
Yeah,
What-
this
in
person's
the Great Depression.
What? This person is desperate for money. He's
Yeah.
got a family to feed. Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
sketch something in so that he
Right.
gets $500.
And the fact that they found 47, that's a lot.
That seems unrealistic.
It does. It does. And you should see the picture of one of the, I'll look it up after the podcast, but it's like, it's super long. It looks fake compared to the
Yeah.
original one.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, how did these, like, I don't know if they were like, I think they were historians or something, like historical scholars that like came to look at them with Haywood, but they never find out for sure whether this first stone was real. So, but
yeah.
like it could have been. So we don't know. But the
Well,
others,
here's my thing. Why would they carve Croatoan in the thing
right,
if they went to Georgia?
right, exactly.
They wouldn't.
It would have had to be
Unless
like they got
they were like
bored.
trying to go around. Could they have
Right.
tried to go around?
Well, or if maybe the Croatoan people like got tired of them being there, they kicked them out. I guess they could have gone.
Well,
to,
it said they got attacked, didn't
Yeah,
it? Maybe
yeah.
they got attacked by them.
yeah, but they seem to be on like peaceful terms with the Croatoans.
Oh.
Which is like but like you said, if they
If they
start to bring disease,
they
or,
were starving,
yeah,
and they were trying to look for resources.
then they would have to split.
Yeah.
So that's like the kind of like, okay, this is what we know historically in quotation marks about what could have happened, but it's still like
I'm not
it's a
buying
hoax.
it.
Right. So there are other theories that have been set forth for our viewing pleasure.
Oh,
if you wanna
yeah?
say.
Aliens.
I have mixed in regular ones with like the crazy ones. So the first one we're going to talk about, because everyone loves talking about that, is cannibalism.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, because, well, and they said whether by the tribes, which they don't think it was because there's no proof of like native tribes doing that. Like they don't,
being cannibals.
Yeah, they don't do
yeah,
that.
they don't.
they said it's a possibility, but that there's not been anything proven for that. So they think that if it was cannibalism, it was them among themselves. Like they got so
Starving.
desperate.
Yeah.
Mhm. So like, because there was one instance in Jamestown, apparently in 1607, like one instance of cannibalism that they know of. Which was
like a person was eating
a person
other
ate a
people?
person. I don't know exactly the details, but in Jamestown later, like the later establishment, there was an instance where there was actually an instance of cannibalism, like among the colonists.
Okay.
I don't know the details of that.
I think that's pretty. The cannibalism is pretty likely.
It is like when you go crazy.
If they're starving and they're desperate and say like, oh, this person passed away.
Right.
Whether that was they were diseased before and then they were eating them and they were eating each other and then they just kept dying off because they were getting sick from this disease that one person was
They had
carrying.
nothing else to eat.
Yeah. Like that's plausible. Or they were just getting sick from eating
People.
people.
Shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
They also said like, well, there were no bones or anything found, but they were like, well, sometimes like they ground up bones. Like, I don't know if it was like just the native people or like also the colonists. Is that what we call them? They would like grind up bones and like put them like in things. Like it was used for like medicines and stuff, which is also not a good idea.
Mummy nibbles.
Yes, we're going back to the mummy nibbles thing.
Yeah.
So that's obviously one of the proposed ones.
Well, it had also been 3 years.
Right.
So they could have buried them.
Yeah, and couldn't find them.
And then the grass just grew. You know, like
Yeah.
it's wild
Well,
land.
I think like in excavations they haven't found still like bones and stuff. That's why.
But if you're not putting them in anything, you're just burying them in the dirt. They could have just like been.
Or what if they like threw them into the sea?
That's true too. It was an island.
Yeah.
It was an island.
They could have been like, oh, just put them in the sea.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know how far inland they were, but I feel like they would have been close enough to take like bodies to the ocean if they're on island.
If they're on an island and they're expecting like a shipment any day now, like they're expecting John White to come back at any moment.
They would be waiting for him.
They'd be waiting for him. They'd be close enough to the water, you know.
Right,
Like I feel like they'd stick around.
Let's take Cedric, I don't know a name, down to the ocean while we're going to look for John. You know,
Right,
he's been passed away for 2 days here. Let's
like
get rid of him.
go
He
ahead and
stinks.
take him. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's obviously, I think that's a pretty valid theory. It's disgusting, but you know, if you are, because I think there's been instances after war where people have like eaten people out of desperation and things like that. I don't know if that's actually historical or if that's just. Anyway, another one that's like very likely is mixing with the native tribes or being killed by the tribes.
Kidnapped by the tribes.
Yeah.
You never know.
Which, you know, some tribes are peaceful and some are protecting their homes. So it's like, if these people are coming and threatening and bringing disease.
If they're starving and they're disease ridden,
yeah,
they're going to try and protect their tribe, which is fine.
Right. So some say they went to Croatoan, which, think about it, makes so much sense because they left the word.
Right.
They left the word. So, and the Croatoan people were friendly with them. So it seemed like they could have just mixed in and been helping each other.
Well, there was only 7 of them left, according to that rock.
Right, according to the rock. But I don't know if that was like before or after when they mixed with the people there. Or they could have gone north toward Chesapeake, another place in North Carolina. Or I think it's present-day Virginia, actually. And they could have been murdered by Powhatan, who was, I think, Pocahontas' father.
The Powhatan?
Powhatan?
That's my tribe.
Oh.
That's my people.
That's my people.
It is.
I looked
actually my people.
You're like, this is them.
That's actually.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh. I always said Powhatan, and then I looked it up, and it said his name was Powhatan.
Powhatan. Maybe it is.
Maybe probably Americans say Powhatan.
I don't think, yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I hope I didn't say his name wrong. But if I did, it's one of those two. But they could have been killed by him, which supposedly Powhatan later, when he met John Smith, told him that he killed the Roanoke Colony. But John Smith didn't write about it. Another guy did. So they're like, that's not reliable. And like, also, he probably didn't do that.
Yeah.
So obviously there could have been wars between the people that belonged there, the people that had the land first,
of those tribes in them,
and then
especially if they're like, you guys have enough going on, you're not respecting the land. That's very big. Like,
you're not respecting the land.
In their culture, it's like we respect everything, we use everything, like, and they're not respecting it.
The people from England didn't know how to maintain that land, so they were probably because they cut down trees and forests probably to build
whatever they wanted to build.
So obviously that's that's probably part of what happened too. Like, some of them probably stayed there, and then supposedly there was this guy like later in the, I can't remember if it was like 1700s. His name was John Lawson, and he said he met some Croatoans like from the island, and they had gray eyes, so like descendants of maybe English and Croatoan, because they don't usually have gray eyes. I feel like
it makes more sense for like the fact that they wrote Croatoan, and that's because I knew that they wrote Croatoan, but I didn't know that was like a neighboring tribe,
island and tribe.
It makes more sense that, especially if they were friendly, that they would have sought help from them,
right?
Like, hey, teach us how to do this, like, especially like there was only 7 of them left,
right? Especially if it was only the 7,
right?
Why would they be like, well, we're gonna kill you 7? They'd be like, okay, there's 7 people,
and they're willing to learn, sure, why not?
And then if there were women and children at all with them, they why not make a family? There are also like basic theories. I have more crazy ones, but some of them are obviously famine, which had to kind of do with the cannibalism, storms, hurricanes, maybe. The storms, killing them. I don't know.
I guess because it's an island.
It's not tornadoes, but hurricanes. Or they tried to sail for England, like go back, but like I don't think they had a ship left, unless he left them a ship. But they couldn't have made it. Like, there's no possible way that apparently they could have made it.
Well, even if they didn't have a ship left, but they like tried to build one,
Yeah, it wouldn't have been. Yeah, it wouldn't have been able. That's a 2.5 month journey.
Maybe they were. That's why there was no houses. They used the houses to try and make a boat.
Oh,
there we go.
And then it sunk. And then they're like, there hasn't been any evidence of them trying to get back to England found. I'm like, but it could have sunk and gone to the bottom of the ocean and never found again.
They use natural resources from the land, so it's like
it could
have been like.
Like, granted, like, he obviously took, I don't know if he took all the ships or if he, like, left one.
But why would he leave one if they're settling?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, because emergencies.
They don't think that.
They don't think of those things. Then there's obviously the theory that they split up and went in different directions. So, like
there was, like...
Right.
Like, civil...
Like, we're going to go this way.
Disputes.
And right.
Like, oh, we don't have our governor anymore. So
right.
We're going to go here and you guys go do what you want to do.
Like, we want to go north. No, we want to go south. Like, So they've this research society or archaeologist society called the First Colony Foundation have discovered 2 sites inland in North Carolina that they call Site X and Site Y. And they're near a Native American town of, I do not know how to say this one. I could not find the pronunciation really. I think it's Medicum.
Sure.
But they found there like 16th century Native American pottery. And this is recent, like in 2023, they found this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And there's this pottery along with, they found a thin piece of like copper wire that is apparently like not like a technology that the Native Americans would have had at that time. Mm-hmm. So it seems like they trade it with someone. So they found these like in the same location, like together. So it's like this Native American pottery and this English wire. So they think that they could have lived in this area. Other people do not think that they lived. It's called like Bertie County. They like, no, they wouldn't have lived here because like the native tribes here like were actually like they were like that would have been, they were the ones who were at odds with them. So like they wouldn't have gone to this county because this is where the native people, I think the Algonquinians.
But if you're desperate enough.
Yeah, you would.
And that's what you know
or you didn't know they were there.
Or you didn't know that's where they were.
Yeah.
You would go.
Right. Because that's where the Algonquians. That's how you say it. Algonquians. I am so sorry. I mean, no disrespect. I'm just horrible at pronouncing names.
It's okay.
This is where the Algonquians lived. So they were like, they didn't have this technology of this copper wire. So it's definitely like an English, supposedly.
It's an English thing. Well, and they could have also, another option is if they did like attack them, they could have like taken it with them.
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah. They could have taken the wire from the English. But supposedly they also found at this site, I think this is Site Y, it's one of them. They found like pottery that was like others they found in Jamestown that were like food storage containers, almost like the jars. Yeah. So it's like they were there for everyday living. You know what I mean? Like it was like they made these jars to keep food for like longer periods of time that were like at this site. So it's like they were settling here. So they think it's like a settlement. But they don't think it's like all of them. They're like, this is definitely just like a faction, if it was like that went off.
Well, what if it was also just like not only like Native American pottery? What if they like learned from the natives how to make it, and
that's
it was
true.
Actually them making
it was them making it. I mean, that would make sense. I mean, they taught other settlers to like about corn, plant corn, and all sorts of things,
and like
yeah.
So why? Who's to say that they
didn't?
If they did that for those settlers, why wouldn't they do it for the others?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. There was also, which goes back to the whole Croatoan thing. There was a map discovered in 2012, which I know is a little bit ago, but it was made by John White. And apparently he was like an artist and cartographer as well. So he made this map.
Interesting.
Yeah. That contained a drawing of 2 forts in an invisible ink. So like you didn't see it unless you put it up against the light. And there was this, the other fort was apparently 50 miles west of Roanoke. So,
plot twist, he did find them. They were safe, but he didn't. But Queen Elizabeth was like, this is speculation. This isn't what happened. So here's what I'm thinking.
Right.
He went there. Yeah. They were happy. He got to Croatoan. They were good. They were settled. They were living their best lives. But Queen Elizabeth said, when you find them, you come back and we're going to bring more.
Oh.
And then he was like, nah, fam.
No.
I'm not messing this up.
Yeah.
And so he lied.
I like that theory.
I like that theory too.
But
it's a happy ending.
Apparently they said it was invisible ink because the Spaniards were also in the country. And they were at war with the Spaniards.
That makes more sense.
No, I like your theory. But the funny thing is about this, it's 50 miles west of Roanoke. And apparently they left this out at the beginning. But apparently the colonists were like, if we go, we're going to go 50 miles this way. Like told him. I read that in one of them and I was like, wait, what? Well, because the fort that he drew on the map in invisible ink, there was no signs of a fort being there. But I don't know. It confused me.
So maybe they didn't make it.
Maybe. Yeah. Or I don't know if this is like, okay, this fort was actually in a different location of Croatoan. It's like an opposite direction. So maybe he was like, well, they could have gone this way or they could have gone this way. But then they actually wrote Croatoan. I was a little confused by that because I was like,
well, maybe they got turned around themselves.
Easy to do. Especially if you lose your leader, like who's leading you.
Yeah.
Like they would be like fighting among themselves. And this guy named Scott Dawson, who wrote a book about this, apparently is like saying, like we're saying, like he's like, they're not in Bertie County, which is where like the other foundation is like researching.
Oh yeah.
He's like, they're not there. They said they were going to Croatoan. They literally left it. Hatteras Island, they have found, like, which is Croatoan now, Hatteras Island. They have found like an Elizabethan, how do you say that? Elizabethan sword, like hilt.
Okay.
So they have found that there. And they have found like a few other items there as well. So he's like, they said they were going. That's where they went.
Okay. Well, Hannah.
But there's no signs of them actually having been there besides those few things.
I mean, the gray eyes.
Yeah. Also.
They wouldn't have gray eyes unless like there were like English settlers there.
Yeah. But that was one guy saying they had gray eyes. So. Who's to say?
Okay, you know what? We just need to go find this tribe, and we need to be like, "Yo, what is up, Kyle?
Yeah, what
happened?
What happened?
1500.
You still have to let me get through the rest of the theories, though, Felina. For the sake of the podcast, they didn't go to Croatoan, okay?
Fine.
Obviously, sickness and disease. It was thought that apparently some of the native tribes said they saw the colonists like fighting among themselves. So it's thought that there was like a virus that like made them go crazy, like a zombie virus. Yeah, exactly. That's what I watched this video that called it a zombie virus. And apparently they were like turning on each other and like killing each other, which maybe that's when they also ate each other.
Maybe that's when they ate each other.
Yeah.
And that's why yeah.
Oh,
the Native Americans cursed them.
Exactly. There's also a witchcraft one. There was also the proposition that since there was war between Spain and England, there was like a group of Spanish soldiers in Florida. So it was like thought that, they just popped up from Florida and just wiped them out and then just...
Yeah, that's something... I was going to say that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Like, Spain was there. They were at war. Who's to say that they didn't, one, go join Spain because they were like, we need help.
Actually, we're... Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't care that we're at war with them.
Or two, get like taken captive and then they just took all their resources with them.
Yeah, if they were racing to settle the New World and they were like, they have this colony up there, they'd be like, well, let's go take them out before they... And then if it was the Spanish, they probably would take their supplies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Like, well, let's take their supplies because...
Yeah.
We need them.
Yeah. There was also other one that I liked where this guy, he was like the Secretary of State. Was the Secretary of State? Something like that. For Queen Elizabeth I. His name was Sir Francis Walsingham. I like that name.
That's a fun name.
I know. Apparently, it was thought that he had the whole thing as an entire setup. Like, he planned the whole thing to make Sir Walter Raleigh look bad because he was like the Queen's golden boy sort of thing.
Because he wanted to be having some extracurricular activities with that Queen.
So it was like, I just made this whole thing like make him look bad.
Yeah, good old Walty boy.
Good old Walty.
He failed you, but I'll help you out.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and another theory obviously is witchcraft and magic. Ooh. So it was believed that there was like a sorceress that lived in the woods in North Carolina. So they were like,
I want to be a sorceress in North Carolina. That's fun.
Like walking through the mossy forest.
That's a fun title.
Sorceress. Sorceress, yes.
Yeah.
It's so much better than sorcerer.
Yeah.
Because it's the female version. No, just kidding.
Yeah. No, it's just cooler. It sounds better. Sorcerer. Or sorceress.
So they thought maybe she could have put a curse on them.
Yeah.
Or it was also thought like, which I still don't think this would happen, but like the native people thought that they were practicing witchcraft, so they like put the colonists to death, but I don't think they would do that. Yeah. I was like,
I feel like there was too many other settlers there.
Yeah.
There was too many other people settling that they would have encountered, so they would have known that wasn't the case. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but I feel like
that's not likely.
If this didn't happen but I guess nobody left for 3 years and didn't come back.
Right. It's true. Another theory for the witchcraft and magic thing is the Wendigos. That apparently if you eat, because it's one of like the Native American creatures, when someone eats another human, they get taken over by a Wendigo. So maybe if they had cannibalized, desperate, and then they turned into Wendigos. Just saying. That's more likely than Croatoan.
It is.
Come on, Felina. So
but that doesn't explain what happened to all the buildings.
That's true.
It's viable, but it doesn't explain. Unless some Spanish settlers came along afterwards and were like, here's some buildings nobody's using, let me take them.
They all became Wendigos.
Yeah.
And they ran out in the woods because they were wild creatures now. And then the Spanish people came along and were like, oh, look, a fort. And they took the
Oh,
stuff.
look, let's take it back.
Yeah, let's take it. And then another one is that there was this one called a reptilian devil. And they showed like a lizard type thing. It was so funny. Apparently it like latches itself onto people. And yeah, I know. It was like, it looked like a big chameleon or something. But it apparently would drive them crazy. So it would like latch onto them and like drive them crazy. So they went crazy and like killed each other. That's another.
But again, that doesn't explain the buildings.
The reptilian devil burned down. Well, he didn't burn down. Why do you keep going back to the buildings?
Well, because there's no evidence of them.
I know.
You know, like there was no evidence other than like the fence. Here's the thing. Wasn't there a supernatural episode with like something like that?
I literally was going to tell you, like I was thinking of, they had the Croatoan virus in Supernatural.
I remember that. I do remember that.
And I don't know about the reptile. There are reptiles one. There's one that we just watched because we were watching Supernatural again, where this guy, like whenever he eats like an animal, like heart or something, he like turns into that animal.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
There's that one. And then there's the one with Croatoan and it's a virus. And it
I
like
remember
makes
that
people
one.
eat each other.
Yeah. I do
whatever.
remember that one, yeah.
So that's what I kept thinking of whenever I heard.
I've watched something similar to the reptilian thing.
Huh.
I don't know if it was supernatural or if it was just
I
some
don't
other
remember
show.
a lizard like thing.
It may have been another show entirely.
We need to find this out because the painting I saw was funny.
We got to post it.
I was like, what is that?
We must post it.
We must post it. But apparently I have said that so much in the last 2 episodes.
And apparently
the Native Americans apparently said that there were other omens that went on during the Roanoke vanishing, like birds dropping dead and things like that, and other animals randomly dying. Yeah, so they were like, it could be
maybe the land is cursed.
And then another theory, of course, is alien abduction. Aliens, which of course, why though? Because like we learned last week, like there's never been a whole other like that we know of, like a whole civilization that disappeared because of aliens. Was there?
That we know of.
Atlantis.
Atlantis.
All the lost colonies are actually just taken over by aliens. Mm-hmm. Why would the aliens take down the buildings though? No, I'm saying it.
No, the aliens would have beamed them up, and then they beamed up the buildings when they were using their beams.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And then another theory was that they turned into trees, which I thought was so funny.
Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings? Yeah, they're Ents now.
Yeah.
Well, because the word Croatoan on the tree, but apparently it was because another spirit of the Native Americans it was a spirit of the land, and when someone like disrespects the land, they would like absorb the people into the land. So like they absorb them into the trees.
And that's why we have faces.
Yeah. What? Oh,
in the trees.
Oh, in the trees. Yes. Yes. I was
You
like,
ever
why we
seen
have faces?
No. Have you ever seen like those faces in the
they're
trees?
creepy.
Yeah, that's
like
what it was.
The not Crotons, but the colonists.
Yeah, it's the colonists. Spooky.
And then to close us out, the Croatoan word apparently has shown up a few other times in history.
Oh.
With other disappearances.
Oh. Aliens.
There was a stagecoach robber named Black Bart who
That's my uncle's name.
Oh, really?
Bart. Wouldn't it be funny if his name was
Wouldn't
it be funny if his name was Bart Black?
That would be cool. I'd
be like Uncle Bart.
Maybe he's a manifestation of this man.
Maybe.
Stagecoach robber. But he was in jail and he wrote the word on his wall. And then when he was released, never seen again. But like he would have known about that, right? I mean, it wasn't 1888, but still. Then apparently Amelia Earhart penned the word Croatoan in her journal before she was lost in 1937.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a whole conspiracy theory now.
They're all living happily ever after.
They're all telling something. That's the thing. It's
They're
like
being visited by a spirit.
Right. But then if it was Croatoan, maybe there's a different place, a secret place named Croatoan.
That's what I'm saying.
Not that island, actually, but somewhere
Not the
else.
island, but some...
Yeah.
Ooh, we're bringing it full circle.
Okay.
there's a cave
A
on the island
with a portal.
With a portal.
Where the
and
aliens,
they're living with the aliens.
And the Croatoan people are like the go-between.
They're the gatekeepers.
Yeah. They take the people.
They're Sasquatch. The Croatoan people are Sasquatch.
The Sasquatch, the aliens, the Croatoans, all together, guys. The reptilian devils. And then Edgar Allan Poe, he went missing and was found in Baltimore. You know, he was that poet, Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe.
You know, that one poet, he wasn't really good. That one guy.
Edgar Allan Poe, the poet. He was found in Baltimore, and on his deathbed, he said one of the last words he muttered was Croatoan. And they never really know.
These people are just putting it in here to be spooky ooky.
Yeah, but they never knew really how he died. They just found him, and he was already like going delirious, and then he passed away.
Oh, he ate a person.
Oh,
it was
he was turning into a Wendigo.
Yeah, Wendigo.
Huh.
That's what it was.
Huh. Yeah. So there were a few others, like a horror author, like did it in his bed, like carved it in his bed and disappeared. But he's a horror author. You know?
Like, he would have known about it.
Yeah.
You know? Like...
Yeah. Come on, Felina.
I don't know about these deaths.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know about the word now.
You know about it, yeah.
So you're, like, wanting to disappear, but what are you saying? What are you what
What's
is the
the
significance?
point? What's the purpose of, like, writing Croatoan or saying Croatoan?
Right. There's a secret society. It's got to be something.
It is a secret society.
Yeah. So that's what I have for you. So that's the Lost Colony, even though we know that they went to Croatoan. We don't know. We know
they told him they would go to.
Right. That's why I don't understand is like if they told him that they were, but why did they leave? That's
because there's only
they
7
ran
of
out of
them
resources.
Left. They ran out of resources. They needed help.
Yeah. We don't know if there were 7 of them. That's just
we
what
don't know
Virginia
if that's real.
said.
But even still, like they needed resources.
Right.
If it would make sense for them to go to somewhere. Like, they know they're friendly. Yeah. They know they have good standing with the, Croatoans.
Yeah. I don't know. That's all. That's what I got for you. Wow. I still like, for some reason, I like the reptilian guy. And I also like the guy who tried to set up Sir Walter Raleigh. Just didn't like him and was like, I'm just gonna. But then again,
sabotage.
He would have, like, killed. How would he have taken care of that?
Probably either that or he probably had like spies in like the colonist and with the colonist that just
and then they disappeared. They went somewhere.
Yeah,
because who's to say? Because if they started colonizing the rest of the
because even if like it hadn't have taken him 3 years, it's like okay, say he gets like these criminals. And he gives them like these false identities. And he's like, you can start over if you do this for me. You have to kill all these people once you get there. And then...
That'd be good. We should write a story.
We should. Well, but then it's like, okay, so even if it wouldn't have taken him 3 years to get back, he's still going to have to come back for supplies eventually. So it's like, wait for him to leave. Right. Once he leaves, you kill everybody.
Yeah, because he like knew, because he was also close to the queen, this guy. So he knew that they were about to be at war, maybe with Spain. So he knew he was going to get stuck back.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Even if he wasn't getting stuck, even if it was like it took him 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
Then it's like, okay, you can, after you kill all these people, you're free. You go do whatever you want to do.
And then they assimilate it with the tribes. Yeah. Just those few people.
Yeah.
And those were the gray eyes.
Have
they ever made like a movie about this?
I'm sure. Maybe.
Like an actual like a theory. Like I've never seen like, the Roanoke Colony movie. Like. Yeah. It'd be fun to do like a really weird one. Like this is what happened, or like it just sounds like this whole like
it could be like a series, and it's like each episode is like another theory of what could have happened.
Oh, like a time traveling thing. Like it happens, and then you get zoomed back to the middle or to the beginning of them like settling,
colonizing.
And happens, and then you go back.
Yeah,
like they keep hitting like.
That'd be fun.
The magic.
That's nobody steal it.
Yeah, nobody steal our idea.
This is our idea. We just trademarked it, so we'll sue you.
Yeah. If you know anything about other places that have disappeared, I kind of did 2 in a row, Atlantis and the Lost Colony of Roanoke. But yeah, I guess
if you know anything else, or if you want to tell us some of your theories of what maybe could have happened to the Lost Colony, you can reach us at lattespodcast@gmail.com, or on our Facebook and Instagram page. Our Instagram is Lattes on My Mind, all one word, all lowercase, and then Facebook is just Lattes on My Mind.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next week.
Don't go disappearing on us.
Yes. Or maybe we won't see you next week.
Ooh. We make it like a scavenger hunt. Everyone has to come find us.
Yeah. Come find these podcasters.
We just leave the word Croatoan on our Instagram.
Croatoan. We just post it.
Right.
It's just a white square with a black Croatoan. And like Times New Roman.
Times New Roman.
The real spookiness.